Chapter 6.
Mark!
Tara yelled again as she became more lucid. Fear gripped her, causing a lump to form in her throat.
Where did you...
Tara caught her breath as she looked around at the broken glass, branches, and trash that had been blown violently through the shattered windows of her home. She didn't notice her own injuries as she urgently made her way to the living room, looking for Mark. The TV was still on, and the fuzzy slippers she'd gotten him still sat out in front of his favorite chair, where he'd always left them while he reclined. A half-drunk can of light beer remained in the chair's cup holder, the only type of beer Mark drank after getting clean. The large cushion on the recliner still appeared molded, as if someone had been sitting in it only a few minutes ago. But Mark was nowhere to be seen. At the sudden sharp pain in her stomach, Tara cried out, steadying herself by gripping the back of the nearest sofa for support. She struggled to calm her breathing. In, out, in, out. As she did so, the television broadcast caught her attention. Breaking news on the current worldwide emergency. A video feed in the background showed widespread destruction and casualties, and something in her gut told Tara that this wasn't stock footage. This was recent. In fact, this was live. Authorities and even the scientific community are unable to explain the events of the past hour. All we know for certain is that the entire world population, as far as we can verify, blacked out for a period of at least 90 seconds. In this time, untold destruction has unfolded, with unprecedented casualties. We're also receiving reports that millions of people around the world cannot be accounted for, including Channel 9's own Jeremy. Still supported by the chair, Tara stood speechless, watching the developing broadcast unfold. Missing? She said to herself. It can't be true. He can't. Choking up, the TV recaptured her attention. The images you're about to see are disturbing, but this is, horrifyingly, the reality we see around the globe. The comfort of the newsroom was now replaced by video footage displaying dead bodies lying in the streets across all continents. Tara could barely see the horror before her as tears blurred her vision. She averted her gaze, wiping her face with her sleeve. Outside the house, she could hear the commotion, alarms blaring and people screaming. She rushed toward the front door as quickly as she could in her present condition. The sound of human voices, however hysterical or miserable, lit a flame at the bottom of her heart. Hark! She shuffled along, bloodied and hurt, but too full of fear and dread to pay her own feelings any mind. The door, being entirely solid wood, had been spared the same fate as the windows. Staggering past the doorframe, where she'd stood just a short time ago with a smile on her face, she was greeted by a sight that belonged in a battle scene from a movie. The entire neighborhood was in turmoil. The street was strewn with garbage and torn-up debris from the front yards of nearly all the houses in the area, and a strong scent of fire and gasoline filled the air. Mark's car was destroyed. There was so much commotion and noise, but mostly she heard screams of pain and suffering. Many walked around frantically, trying to piece together what happened, calling out to loved ones in the hope of a reply. Others were desperately searching for their children. Grief laid bare in their broken voices and distraught faces. And then there was Tara. Something close to denial had held her together since she'd regained consciousness. But now, seeing all the carnage with her own eyes, the last bit of her hope was dashed. A small stream of tears suddenly became a flow, and she cradled her head in her hands, looking up to the heavens.
No, God! No!
Tara shivered at her vivid recollection. Even now, as she reached for another cracker from the table, mostly for comfort, she could feel herself getting drawn into the despair she had felt on that fateful day. She couldn't bring herself to eat the cracker, returning it to the pack as a solitary tear rolled down her cheek. Her two visitors sat in silence, neither able to react to the recollection of her pain and misfortune. I wasn't in denial for very long after that. It dawned on me that the people who had vanished were not coming back. Life would never be the same again. Mark will never get to meet his own kid. I miss him so much. But it's my child I feel worse for. Mark would have made such an amazing dad. He would have loved being a father, Tara continued. Wiping the tear off her face, Tara still couldn't quite understand why she was confiding in these two strangers, but the look on their faces showed genuine sorrow and concern. It was comforting having someone hear her out as she expressed her pain. Everyone appeared to have lost someone, and there seemed to be no empathy left for others. Instead of drawing them closer together, the tragedy seemed to be tearing people apart, so far apart that they each began to only look out for themselves. That was the scariest part, that humanity itself seemed reduced to barely anything, each person selfishly grasping at whatever they could save or latch onto. These days, it was rare for anyone to hear another ask, "How are you?" or "What can I do to help?" That sad and skeptical fact only made the presence of this couple in the kitchen even more suspicious, but they were company at least, and Tara wasn't going to decline that. "Oh God, I'm so sorry you went through all that. I can't imagine all that pain," Devin replied. Isaac just looked shocked into silence, playing with his fingers and examining his hands, agitated and stunned. "Yeah, our child is all I have left now, and there's no market for furniture or household appliances, so I can't even sell these things off to sustain us, can I?" Tara said, aggrieved. The "can I" was not any kind of question, but it hung in the air between them, the answer all too plain. "That's true," Isaac said at last. "Very few things remain the way they were just months ago. I'm surprised that the authorities have even managed to keep telecommunications and transit running, and I don't know how much longer those will last either. A bleak landscape lies ahead of us, I'm afraid," Isaac concluded. Then he frowned as if rethinking what he'd just announced. Isaac stood up, fishing in his pocket for a paper tissue from a small packet and handing it to Tara, who thankfully accepted it. Then he reached back in, pulled out the whole pack and slid it across the countertop. Tara nodded, as if to thank him in silence. "He might still show up," he said to her, then helplessly, his eyes darting. He then walked past Devin, tapping lightly on her shoulder as he did so. Devin stood up, following him, and both moved away from where Tara sat, contemplating the future. "Yeah, what is it?" Devin asked him, just as puzzled as Tara appeared. They'd wandered over by the window, not that it looked like a window now. "I'm afraid I have some bad news," Isaac replied in a much lower register than usual. "Her child, her baby, he isn't going to make it." Devin's eyes widened as the weight of his words hit her. Isaac glanced back at Tara fleetingly. She sat still and rigid, playing with the corners of the handkerchief, twisting it into a fine point to keep her fingers occupied. She toyed with that handkerchief as though it was all she possessed in the world, still trying to regain her composure. "How do you know that?" Devin finally said, also lowering her voice. But even at such low volume, the concern was easily discernible. Isaac didn't answer immediately, and after a few seconds, Devin continued, "You're a scientist, not a doctor." "I went to med school and decided to do research instead. Trust me. I understand the human body," Isaac replied, "and I just know it. There's no other possible outcome of this." "Well, is there anything you, or we, can do for them?" I can try," Isaac confirmed. It still wasn't the response Devin had hoped for, but it was something, at least a slight glimmer of light. Devin didn't dare turn to look at Tara, but she could guess what she'd be doing. She would be sitting back, her hand on her belly, the other one busy fidgeting. More than anything else, the child seemed to have instilled in Tara a will to live. Devin couldn't imagine what Tara would do if the baby were to be lost. Well, no, on second thought, she could imagine, and it was horrific. Isaac began to walk back over to the sitting area, and Devin followed behind, greatly troubled. Tara seemed to be in some minor discomfort now, too, as if to bring Isaac's words even closer to reality. I still have no idea who you guys even are. You say you saw me at the gas station? So did you follow me here all the way from there?" Tara asked through narrowed eyes. Devin and Isaac glanced at one another. They'd neglected to agree on how much detail they could relay to Tara before coming here, hopeful the questions wouldn't even be raised. They had to think quickly. Devin spoke first, struggling against emotion to keep her voice level. "We're just here to help you, Tara. We don't have any ulterior motives, I promise you that. It's just what we do. We help people like you."